So now you're studying and you're remembering only what is studied. Understood? Some of you, okay, some of you are not able to transform whatever you studied according to the demand of the question. Okay, that is next level of preparation. So now, see if you can classify the answer writing into phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so here, first level is beginning to write something. The writing practice is what it is all about. Okay, so brainstorming ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬರಿಬೇಕು. Okay, so you have crossed that phase. Okay, maybe this is beginning for you, so you might be finding it little difficult to write. Okay, otherwise you've crossed this stage. Second stage is you write only what you have read. Okay, you write only what you have read. Means what? You are unable to extrapolate other information that is stored in your memory. Okay, so we have discussed a lot of things in the class which could be used otherwise also in various other topics also. Ivaga agricultural marketing ಅಲ್ಲಿ use ಮಾಡಿರೋ information na you could have written it elsewhere also, where you can talk about, like, institutionalization of rural credit to resolve the problem of agriculture distress. You could have used it. Okay, so now that is the next level of answer writing. Okay, where you try to use the data, or rather you work on the application part. The last one comes refinement. Got it? Refinement is all about making your answer completely ready for 100% marks. Going to the next part is what you are finding it difficult now. That is when you have to spread. See, this is the difficult part. Third and fourth phase are the actual phases which fetch you marks in exams. Got it? So it is normal that you will find that you don't know this topic. Understood? But then everybody has read the same topics. But how is one or two candidate able to write relevant answers, but you are not? Do you think he would have studied RD complete textbook and come? No, he also had studied the same material that you guys have studied. Simply, thinking beyond the box, like, what is the actual questions demand, and then how do you go about it? Okay, so now for those of you who are struggling to understand the question, like, what has to be written, I'm doing this because, I saw your papers and I saw that, you have some technical blocks. So I thought I have to address this. Okay, so remove the fear of attending tests. Okay, it's not required at all. It's okay. See, there are people who are scoring 13, 12 on 105, and it is absolutely okay, rather than you try to attain 40, 50 by preparing and writing the test, or not attending at all. Trust me, you have to get over these. See, if you start at a later stage, you will not even be able to improvise. Okay, so it's really important that you have to move from stage to stage. Got it? So here, firstly, what you can do to, better yourself in this phase is, firstly, break the question into parts. Yes, break every question into different parts. So now let's take the first question. Analyze the role played by local self-government in addressing or in establishing the ideals of Gandhiji, right? So this is, Gandhi's ideals of rural development, right? So now break this question into parts. Can someone do this for me? No. What exactly? Not the structure of your answer. Introduction, body, and conclusion. Not that. Break the question. Analyze the role played by local self-government in establishing the ideals of Gandhiji in rural development. Ideals of Gandhi. Okay. With respect to rural development only. Then local self-government. Is that all? No. In the question, they're asking only these two things, right? Analyze the role played by local self-government in establishing the ideals of Gandhiji, right or not? So these are the two components or two parts of your question. Yes. So now the primary focus is on what? Gandhi's ideal of rural development, or it can be on the local self-government. It is your call to begin the answer with whichever part you want to start off with. Understood? That is when the, individual's touch comes into the answer. Got it? You can either start off with local self-government's, introduction, or Gandhiji's ideal to rural development, or something like that, or just randomly you can start off with what is rural development and just put a, name. Gandhiji felt this is what rural development is. Understood? Got it? You can write a definition which encompasses of all the things that Gandhiji said is necessary for rural development and say this is rural development by Gandhiji. You can start off the way you want. Now, the next component of the answer is that you will start telling what is the ideals of Gandhiji with respect to rural development, right? So list out the ideals. Now in ideals, he's talking about dignity of labor, equal wages, concept of trusteeship, and then, economic empowerment and backward class empowerment, cottage industries development. Okay, so if you want to classify your answer, that comes to in the refinement last phase. Okay, but I'll try to incorporate that here as well. Gandhi's ideals also can be classified into economic and social. Understood? Yes, what he wanted to do to the economy, what he wanted to do to the society with respect to rural development. Okay, so now you start establishing those ideals. Okay, now coming to, and I see a lot of people writing your LSG came through 73rd Amendment, 72nd Amendment, and then we got 12th schedule. No, not required. 11th and 12th schedule added. No, polity is not required here. We are trying to attend to the needs of local self-government scope in rural development. Okay, so now what are the measures that, see, you know a lot about local self-government? Yes or no? They have taxing powers. They have Gram Panchayat with which, all the developmental activities can be undertaken. Write a couple of schemes which are trying to come up with cooperative farming schemes. They're all almost like trusteeship only, not up to the level of trusteeship, but somewhat relevant to that, right? Farmers, producer organizations. Now see, Gandhi's ideals are like little philosophical concept, right or not? So now, how local self-government is giving life to this philosophy is all the question is, demanding you, right? So now, this philosophy is not just going to remain in papers. So they need some measures, right? So now you have to include lot of current affairs here. You can bring in schemes, you can bring in the budget allocations, you can bring in the community development programs, all those which are directly related to establishing Gandhi's ideals. Whatever you have written in the first part, you have to pick up those examples which are, replicating those ideals and come up with conclusion. That's it. Okay, firstly, break the questions into parts. Then think about part 1, 2, 3. And in some of the answers, I also see that you are unable to connect between these. That obstructs the flow of the answer. Understood? In your answer, there should be a flow. What you are communicating should be clearly communicated to the evaluator. Understood? So, like you started with measures to improve. No, it may not be relevant. Okay, see, it could be added. I'm not saying it's a complete no, but maybe something more valuable can be added in that place. Understood? So now you should know what are the components that you're including to connect the answer. When you break it, you should know from this point or from this component, this part to how am I going to move to the next part. If I am writing the answer, I would have given the RD definition by Gandhiji and then started with ideals of Gandhi, ideals of Gandhi with respect to rural development, and then how this local self-government is establishing with live examples. Like, could be case studies or could be schemes and programs, anything which are establishing the ideals of Gandhiji and conclude the answer. So now I know very well, start with ideals, end with the local self-government and how important it is to have a local self-government which will work for rural development. Got it? That is how I would say. Okay. So now you should know how to connect between different parts that you develop in the question. Okay. So once you develop, then go for structuring. Spend some time. This does not need much of time once you have spent enough time in this. Understood? So when you practice, this becomes like a mental exercise. You know how to go about, like, you just have to spend 1 or like 30 seconds to 1 minute to just understand what you have to write, and then you can start off writing in 5 to 6 minutes. Understood? So till you get accustomed, do this, very deliberately, like separate exercise tarane maadi every like, under 1 minute to 1.5 minutes, idanna maadi. It's okay even if you're writing like 60 to 70% of the answer, but then, this exercise will have to get into your brain so well that, you don't misunderstand the question or you miss out the important aspects of the question. Understood? It's really, really important that you know what has to be written. Understood? Yes. So structure your answer after you know what to write. Okay. So with structuring, go for presentation part. Presentation is the actual writing with some figures, and also in structuring, you try to, develop an idea about diagrams. If I can add any diagram into this question. Understood? Yes. So in 21 questions, at least roughly if you can add some 10 to 15 diagrams in the paper, that adds more value to your answer. Understood? Yes. Got this? Fine. So think about diagrams. So this is how you get over this difficulty of I am studying, but I am unable to write well in the test. Ee problem na overcome madadike you have to do this exercise.